In this video, we are going to address the #1 question we get from clients of all kinds, from individuals to startups to multi-million-dollar corporations. How do I remove unlawful content that has been posted about me or my company online?
This is a good question, and the truth is it's not always easy, and no two circumstances are exactly the same. In some instances, we can remove unlawful content within hours. In other instances, even where the content has been deemed unlawful by a court, we still can't get it down, either because the poster of the information is uncooperative or disappears, or there's some other unanticipated circumstance.
With that said, if someone posts defamatory, offensive, infringing, private, or otherwise unlawful content about you or your business on a social media platform, there are some key steps that you can and should take. Here are the 5 key steps that we always walk clients through, and this should serve as a guide to help you address and remove the unlawful content. First, preserve the evidence. Online content is ephemeral and can disappear as quickly as it was posted. If someone posts something unlawful about you or your business on any social media platform, you want to preserve the evidence and do so immediately. You can do this by way of a screenshot or a photograph, or by printing the content so that it clearly shows the unlawful post in the context and location where it was found. If possible, capture the name of the poster, the relevant URL, the date and time, and any other information that will support when, where, and who posted the content. If you're working with a professional team, somebody like a law firm, then we could do a forensic capture as well, and that's the best way to actually preserve the evidence.
Second, weigh the pros and cons of taking action. When your IP, your reputation, or your privacy is in jeopardy, your inclination is to act immediately. But before you take action, think about it. The pros include managing your reputation, maybe on removing the unlawful content, protecting your privacy and your intellectual property rights, and maybe getting damages. Cons, on the other hand, include that you're expending resources that may be disproportionate to any benefit that you get, detracting from important business matters, you may be involved in protracted and expensive litigation, or needlessly drawing attention to content that is an opposite effect of what you intended in the first place. So in short, while the content might be upsetting to see, you should consider whether the content's actually unlawful and whether expending the effort is warranted, whether there's a business case for it.
You also want to analyze the content before taking action. So if you do decide to move forward with efforts to remove the content because it is causing damage or harm in some way to the best interest of your company, then with the guidance of an attorney, carefully analyze the nature of the content. For example, does the content infringe upon your intellectual property rights? Or is it false and defamatory? Is it harassing or otherwise offensive? Does the content amount to a violation of your privacy? Get clear on the type of content that's been posted and the legal implications of the content so that you can move forward in a streamlined and efficient way.
Take action. If you and your attorney determine that the content's infringing your copyright, for example, copying and displaying your literary work, photos, or other copyrightable work, you may be able to submit a takedown notice through the social media platform where the content appears. Nearly every social media platform has a designated agent to handle copyright matters, and most provide easy-to-use forms to submit this takedown notice. If the content is infringing your trademark, for example, using your trademark in a way that would confuse customers into believing the content is authorized by, sponsored by, or affiliated with your business, then you may consider issuing a cease and desist letter or utilizing the takedown requests offered by some social media platforms that permit trademark owners to report trademark infringement.
If you determine that the content is defamatory, offensive, or harassing, or violates your privacy, as a first step, work with a lawyer to investigate whether built-in mechanisms are available on the social media platforms themselves, and report and request removal of the unlawful content to the platform directly. When available, this is the advisable way to go, as the built-in mechanisms are more streamlined and more cost-conscious than removing the content by other means. If reporting mechanisms are not available or don't accommodate your particular circumstances, consider whether to send a cease and desist letter drafted by a lawyer and drafted carefully, and or whether filing in court might be the best way to remove the unlawful content. By filing an action in court, you may enjoin the creator or others from posting similar content, and you can request damages. If you're directing correspondence to the creator of the unlawful content, keep the tone professional, as the correspondence itself often ends up in a public forum.
If the creator of the content's unknown, you can work closely with an attorney to initiate a lawsuit and serve a subpoena on the social media site administrator or owner to discover the identity of the individual that is behind the content. Before a subpoena is issued, courts generally consider whether the elements of your claim, for example, infringement or defamation, have been met. Courts, however, are sensitive to the balance between the First Amendment right to speak anonymously and the rights of publicity and privacy. So while the First Amendment does not include a right to defame, harass, or violate another's privacy, courts want to be sure that the conduct is actionable before taking extreme measures, like granting an order that may be construed as restricting speech. If and when the content creator is unmasked, you may then move forward with your removal, injunction, and damages action.
As a final note, with some limited exceptions, Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act protects the platform that displays the content. That is, the platforms themselves, whether Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn or otherwise. Those platforms are not responsible for the content posted on the platforms, and thus are not responsible for taking the content down. Any liability generally falls with the user of the platform or the drafter of the content. Finally, you want to be proactive. To ensure your online presence is well managed and well maintained, proactively monitor content and proactively address any negative content about you or your company. Appoint a social media expert to oversee all of your company's social media accounts, as well as monitor the web, so via Google alerts, hashtags, and other mechanisms, for mentions of your company so that any negative content may be brought to the attention of the company as soon as possible. Fill out your social media checklist and determine if there are vulnerabilities and other sources of issues surrounding your social media use. Prepare website dark pages that can be launched on a moment's notice to counteract any negative attention or damage to the goodwill that a post can sometimes do to your brand. Good social media hygiene up front goes a long way toward avoiding unlawful content.
Provide training for your employees in best practices for using social media accounts, both personal and corporate, and provide avenues for them to air grievances so that your employees are less likely to air these grievances publicly. There are certain legal implications to monitoring employee speech online, and so you should consult with a lawyer before implementing any policies or providing any restrictions or limitations in this regard.
Finally, preemptively and regularly launch positive campaigns via social media designed to show your brand in a favorable light and reinforce the goodwill associated with your intellectual property. Ensure that these efforts are fully optimized so as to rank highly in any Google searches relating to you or your company.